Hey guys, what's up? Well, I am in my new studio location. This is my new nerve center for doing video production and processing and editing and all that good stuff. So, anyway, been pretty busy lately doing some things that I've gotten down on video, but I haven't got to the point that I'm ready to edit up a video. But we're doing more work on the Oldsmobile and we're getting into some heavy duty stuff on it, and I'm going to kind of do a certain amount of work on it right away, and then I'm going to put it to the side for a little bit. I'm kind of gearing up for a winter project, I guess you could say, something to work on over the winter with it, and so we'll be getting into that. But for right now, I've got to get back on my transmission. I've got my special tool that I had ordered that finally came in. I was waiting on it to arrive so I could continue with that, and then we'll get it back together and get it back in the car. So anyway, what's on my mind today? Well, I was out eating lunch today at a Hardee's in a little town not too far away from here, and I was behind a group of guys, Hispanic guys, getting their lunch there also, and made me think about something. You know, living down here in the South, this is a conservative area. It's a lot of what they call Christian conservatives, and this is a Republican stronghold. And I want to say right now that I don't claim to be a Republican, I don't claim to be a Democrat, so don't anybody give me crap about that in this video, because I don't claim either one of them. I'm just sort of, I don't know, I guess you say independent, whatever, but I don't really necessarily do political videos much, but I may do a few as we're getting into this presidential campaign, and you know, as I do those, probably not going to agree with everything or any of it, but that's why it's an opinion. But anyway, I was behind these guys today, and we're talking about down here in the South. You know, there's a lot, it's like all over the country, there's a lot of Hispanics here now, and a lot of Indians, and a lot of people of other races here. And that's the way it is all over the country. You know, this is a great melting pot, and there's a lot of people here, you know, and they're, especially here in the South, they're causing a lot of anxiety, and there's, you know, some of it's justified, some of it isn't, but without talking about stuff that's going on in current events, let's just not get into that. But luckily we don't have that problem down here. But what you run into down here is, well, for one thing, you know, you ever see on these different forums that you may go into and different blurbs in the news and things, and you'll see people, you'll see what we'll call the angry white guy or the disenfranchised white guy. If you don't know what disenfranchised means, it means you're kind of, whatever your status was or your situation in life was, is not as good as it was. So things have kind of went for you. But anyway, with that said, you get a lot of people saying that when Hispanics or these other races are in our country, they need to speak English. And that, I guess that applies to if they're here visiting or they're here living or whatever the case may be. And that's understandable to a point, and I agree with that to a point. But one thing that bothers me is that, you know, people take this, you know, they're upset, especially down here in the South, that they can't understand them. You know, I'm going to tell you something about living in the South. Outside of the urban areas, and probably even inside the urban areas, the percentage of people that can speak a second language, Americans born and bred here, white people that can speak a second language, I'm going to tell you, it's low. I'm sure it's low. I don't know what it is, but it is low, low, low. So they don't speak Spanish, and they don't understand it, and they're mad at them, and you know, it's just one of these things that they expect everybody that's a different nationality to speak English, you know. And like I said, I agree with that. But the thing is that if somebody's here visiting, you know, Well, let me back up. I'm kind of getting off my track here a little bit. I'm trying to think of what I want to say. But if you're standing there, like I was standing there in that line today, and these guys, they ordered in English, and I could understand them perfectly. And then they reverted to speaking Spanish among themselves. What's the problem with that? You know, you get these angry white guys that are standing there like me, I guess, and I'm not angry. I'm white, but I'm not angry. And they're getting pissed off because they can't understand those guys are not speaking English the whole time, you know. Well, what's the problem with it? You know, do you have to hear everything they say? You know, they weren't looking at me. They weren't even acknowledging me, and I wasn't, you know. It didn't bother me a bit. And I have to ask something. If you were to go to somebody else's, the reality is that the chances of one of these guys from down here in this part of the country going to another country is between zero, slim and none, let's put it that way. Because you're talking about people here in this country, in this part of the country, that a big trip for them, if they ever say they're going on a week-long vacation, you ask them where they're going, well, we're thinking about we're going to Birmingham, or we're going to Gatlinburg, or we're going to Atlanta, or we're going to Panama City. They don't give a shit about going to any other country. They hell freeze over before they went to Mexico. But just for laughs, let's just say one of these guys went there. Them and their family, the white guy and his family went to another country, and they went to France, or they went to Mexico, or they went somewhere. You know what probably happened? They get down there, and they would expect everyone to understand them. You know, not only are you supposed to speak English in this country if you're from another country, but when we're in your country, we're supposed to also speak English. You speak English everywhere we go. Is that how that works? I'd like to see that. I'd like to see some guy in another country that's got enough balls to do it, that wasn't so concerned about getting this from the stupid Americans visiting. I'd like to see one of them to sit there and actually have the balls to tell the white guy from America, say, if you're in France, you speak French. Or if you're in Mexico, you speak Spanish. Can you imagine the shit-fit conniption would happen if that white guy from America had to do that? Oh, he'd wave the arms, go waving, and I can't believe you make us speak. I don't understand no fucking French. I don't understand no Spanish. Well, get the hell out. We're going to McDonald's. We don't. We're speak American. You know, and that's one of the most aggressive things I've ever seen, and I wish somebody'd do that. And the only reason they don't do it is because some of those countries are so poor and they need the money so bad that they'll kiss an American's ass for anything. An American could go to another country and be rude to them and be awful to them and be the biggest group of assholes that's ever come down the pike, and they will. Let me tell you, don't think for a minute they won't. Us Americans, we can be some total shitheads visiting other countries. That's been documented. But you know, these people that are in these other countries, they're not paid as much as they should be, and they have to put up with all our shit, and they'll do it because they want the money. You know, I know that, like I said, I know people wouldn't hardly ever, for this country, this part of the country, hardly ever go to another country. You know, they have no interest in it. I've lived with these people for 45 years, and they have no damn interest in it. If you're talking about going to Canada or Mexico, Cancun, or Cabo San Lucas, or Hawaii, which is actually the same country, you know, or any place besides Birmingham or Chattanooga, if you said something about that, you'd see the window blinds just start flapping. It'd be like, where? You know, down here in this part of the country, we are in a culture deficit badly. Don't ever believe when somebody puts up one of these things that it's a nice, beautiful picture of Birmingham or Montgomery or Mobile or Chattanooga or whatever, and it's got a nice, beautiful sunset, and they're going to say, oh, we're doing all this in this blank. Don't believe that shit. That's nothing. I've lived here. There is nothing to do here. So these people don't care about culture. So you won't ever catch them in another country. But I really would like to see that. I'd like to see the big boo-hoo if somebody in other countries made one of us speak their language. See, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's two standards. It's one standard for them and one standard for us. Our standard is we get to speak American wherever we go, and everybody's supposed to understand us everywhere we go because we're American, right? That it? And then if it's them, because they're not as good as we are, they're lower than we are because they're from another country, then they're supposed to kowtow to us and speak English anytime we want them to. Two standards. There's a double standard in it. Two sets of rules. Because I hate stuff like that. I hate two sets of rules for people. You know, we're all equal. I know people in different countries don't look on other people in other countries as being equal, but we are. We were born equal. We're just different colors, and we speak different languages, but we're equal. So, in God's eyes, we're equal. So you better believe that. But you know, because I hate to see people mistreated because of that. I'm not a person that's biased. I'm not prejudiced, and that's amazing. Considered I live in Alabama, because I tell you what, I'll just say this just briefly. This is probably going to be another video, but people in the South, the conservatives, they are some of the most prejudiced, hateful people you'll ever meet. And that's a big saying to say that, but it's true, because you know, you see these you see these stories, these cutesy pootsy ass movies and about the South, and they're all old guys whittling and people walking down the road chewing on a piece of hay, and it's like Forrest Gump, and everybody's so friendly and spitting tobacco and blah blah blah. It's not like that. Because down here in the South, I'm going to tell you something. Down here in the South, it's almost like a hate group, because people down here hate blacks, they hate Mexicans, they hate Indians, they hate anybody, American Indians, they hate them, they hate gays, they hate anybody like that. Anybody's not a white person, a big fat ass white person like me, they hate them. I don't care what they say, they'll be nice to your face. But I was in that restaurant today, and old man was sitting there eating, and he was sitting there, he was sitting there just eating, and those Mexicans were sitting over there, and they weren't bothering him a bit. They weren't doing anything. They were quiet and just eating, and they were getting in there and got out. They got out before I left. And he's just over there just chewing on his food, and he's just giving them the biggest evil eye bastard expression, looking at them, like, what the hell are you doing in my restaurant down here in Alabama? Here's something I like to tell you that you ought to chew on for a little bit. Did you know, I guess you remember maybe that a few years back that they got on this big kick. They were, this big ongoing thing about they're going to run all the Mexicans out, which will never happen. But they got on this big kick, they're going to round up all the illegals that were working on the farms and the construction companies and the tree companies and laborers, and they were going to round them up and run them all out. And they started doing that. And then all these places just about damn shut down because they took all their help away from them, and they couldn't get white people to do their jobs, or black people. I'm not going to be colorblind about it. Applies the same to them. They could not get them to do the Mexicans' jobs for the same money. I was out driving one day in my nice luxury car, 16-year-old luxury car. Can you believe I had some idiot the other day said, I was saying I ought to get a new car pretty soon, maybe. And I was just making conversation. He said, well, you drive a $100,000 Mercedes. And I said, well, for one thing, it's not a Mercedes, it's an Infiniti, and it ain't no $100,000. I paid $3,000 for it, but he's brain dead. So, but anyway, so I was sitting in my car, and it was hot as hell out about 2 years ago. And I was at an intersection, and they were knocking down this building over there. And so they had this thousands of bricks out there on this lot where they demolished this place. And these Mexican guys, Hispanic guys, were out there in the heat. And now they're from a hot country, so they're used to it. In long sleeve shirts and big not sombreros, but big floppy hats out there breaking those bricks apart. You tell me how long you'd see a white guy who wouldn't get paid more than $5 or $6, $7, $8 an hour standing out there before he quit. Not long. They said they couldn't get white people to do their job. They wouldn't work. They won't work. You know, we throw off on the Mexicans. We want to run them out, but white people won't work. Because when they're poor like that, they get a check. Everybody knows that. They get a damn check every month to keep them poor, keep them fat, and keep them in the trailer. You know, and I've heard this. I've heard this my whole life. I mean, I don't know how it is where you guys live. Y'all live in different parts of the country. But down here, you hear this shit all the time. Well, I ain't going to do that for that kind of money. I'll sit there and draw my check all month. Why the hell would you not do that? I mean, why would you, you know? Sure. Hell, if I could get $1,000 a month for whatever, or whatever you get for, you know, food stamps, and I got a couple relatives living up with me, packed into the house with me. That's what they do. And a couple of them managed to fake out the disability. You know, they got that arm hurting, or they got a bad shoulder, bad back, blah, blah. They all do that. They all do that because their parents did it, and the parents showed them how to do it. It's all big fake. Anyway, so they all gang up together, so they got enough money between them from all their crazy checks and broken hand checks and lazy checks. They got enough to stay in there and gang up and keep one house going. They don't have, none of them have to work. They don't have to do nothing. So you think you're going to get one of those fat slobs out there and do it? And they want to bitch about there, but the first people to bitch about the Mexicans. The Mexicans taking our jobs away. No, they're not. They're not taking your jobs away because it's not your job, because you won't do that damn job. You're too damn good and too lazy. That's why everything went overseas. Everybody wants to ignore that fact, but I know they don't pay them enough overseas, but that's why I went, because, you know, Americans, you know, and I'm American, and I'm blaming myself as much as anybody else. Americans, you know, we keep wanting we want more and more and more and more for not doing more and more and more. We want more money, more benefits, more of this, more of that. We want shorter working hours. We want to be able to sit down, you know, and not get, you know, we're going to do less and get more for it. And that's not how those people work. They work their asses off. I'm not saying Mexicans need to be here. Don't anybody rip that one off if they're not documented. That's a whole nother ball of wax. But as far as what I'm talking about, you know, that's the truth, and you know it's the truth. So, yeah, and finally, my battery's getting low, but, you know, one last thing. You know, these people that want to bitch about they can't understand the Mexicans or the Indians, which they call, you know what they call Indians down here in the South? They call them sand, Niggers, is what they call them. They call them that. They call them dot heads. They call them, well, there's some other disparaging word, but they got plenty of words for it. You live down here for 5 years, you'll hear a whole education on slanderous words to call people that are not white in the South. So if you think the 60s attitudes went away, not down here they haven't. Nope. 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 You can force segregation, but you can't take the prejudice out of these people down here. No way. So, last little thought. These people, you ever hear, you know I have an accent, I admit that. I should, from where I've been born at down here, but, you know, these people are the first to bitch at these, like I just said, bitch at them for not speaking English or not being able to understand them. And some of the people down here are the last friggin' people that need to bitch at somebody for the way they speak, because they murder the English language down here. They've got words that you'll never find in any dictionary, and they mispronounce them on purpose. That's how Mama did it. That's how Papa did it. That's how Aunt Ruby did it. That's how she said it, so I say it that way. They send the kids to school, and the kids come back home from actually learning how to say a word correctly, and then get back home to these uneducated idiots, and they go right back to square one, because I hear Mama saying it, and Daddy saying it, and Daddy saying that way. That's why we're going to say it. Alright guys, I got to go. So anyway, last thought. Whether you are cultured enough to get along with other people of other nationalities or you're not, Don't embarrass yourself by saying that people ought to speak American.